Khamzat Chimaev claims he got extremely sick after his victory over Kamaru Usman. Khamzat posted a series of photos to X. He wrote, "I was very sick. My hand was injured, so I couldn't return right away. I want to tell all the fountains. I want to see myself in battle more than all of you. I love this job. I will do and prove that I am the best. As always, we do." The post was later deleted. Khamzat then posted this video. He said he's coming back soon.
Feel good. Coming back soon. For my belts.
Henry Cejudo thinks Michael Chandler did the smart thing by waiting for Conor McGregor. Henry also gives his thoughts on the fight potentially taking place at middleweight.
Getting close about a year ago, he says, you're gonna do what you're told, man.
If I told you what weight it's gonna be, 185.
You wanna do 185, I'll do 185.
You'll do what you're told.
Since the beginning, he said, we're gonna be fighting at 185 pounds. Maybe Conor just wants to be the first person to say, hey, I fought in 4 different weight classes in the UFC, which is absolutely crazy. Conor has gotten big, and for that weight class, Conor is short, but guess what? So is Michael Chandler. They're both 2 short, stocky dudes that are going to be fighting at 185 pounds. Michael Chandler did a really good job of just waiting, because you know why? Conor McGregor's a cash cow. I mean, I would wait almost 2 years to fight Conor. And when you fight Conor, you're guaranteed pay-per-view points, which I don't know if the UFC's gonna give it to him, but they might. You know, that's a whole lot of money. Those are a whole lot of M's that are coming your way, Michael Chandler, because you decided to wait. Michael Chandler might go in for a double leg, or he may try to throw some hands with Conor McGregor, because there's one thing that Michael Chandler does do. He is a crowd pleaser, and he does like to appease everybody. Can Conor McGregor really get into his head? Could he do what he did to Cowboy Cerrone? Could he do what he did to Jose Aldo?
It looks like Dustin Poirier versus Nate Diaz is not happening at UFC 300. On X, a fan wrote, "At Dustin Poirier, champ, are you going to face Nate on the UFC 300 card? It's January. Give us a name." Dustin replied, "No, it ain't happening." Dustin is, however, still pushing to fight on UFC 300. Dustin reposted this today. It says, "At Dustin Poirier, can we expect any news on your next fight soon? UFC 300? Need an exciting fight, and we all know you bring it every time." Daniel Cormier thinks Conor McGregor is playing with Michael Chandler. He says it's because Chandler is a good guy and refuses to be the bad guy. DC thinks that Chandler should have played the bad guy a little bit more.
McGregor said that he's going to be fighting at UFC 302, is what that would probably line up to be at International Fight Week at the end of June against Michael Chandler at 185 pounds. So when you hear that immediately, you go, well, wait. Isn't he a lightweight? I know he's dabbled at 170. We saw him fight Cerrone at 170. We saw him fight Diaz at 170. But isn't this guy a lightweight? Wasn't he the featherweight champ and the lightweight champ? What's he talking about 185? There is no world in which Conor McGregor is a middleweight. Conor McGregor is as much of a middleweight as Alex Pereira is. Pereira's not a middleweight. He's a light heavyweight. He weighs 235 pounds. He just somehow managed to get down there. McGregor's not a middleweight. So then you ask yourself, why? Why is he saying 185? Well, you got to watch the video. And you hear the laugh at the end. It's like Dr. Evil from the Austin Powers shows. You remember Dr. Evil would make these little jokes and he would laugh and he would put his finger in his face because he knew he was being bad. And that's what McGregor's doing. McGregor's being bad. McGregor's playing the game. McGregor's being the villain right now. He's being the villain because the villain manipulates. The villain pulls the strings. The villain's the puppet master. The villain makes you move to his music. The villain makes you move to his rhythm. McGregor's being the villain. And you know why? You know why? Because Michael Chandler's a good guy. Michael Chandler's a good guy. Michael Chandler refuses to play the bad guy. Even if at times playing the bad guy would play to his benefit. He should have played the bad guy a little bit in this situation with McGregor and said, F off. I'm done with you. It's taking too long. You're pulling my strings. I haven't fought because you aren't ready to fight. You're doing things that aren't allowing me to go make money. He should have said to hell with it. And I believe if he'd have said to hell with it, McGregor probably would have came back to him a little sooner. But he never did, so now it's compounding. Now Conor's saying that he has to fight him at middleweight, a weight 30 pounds heavier than Michael Chandler fights at consistently. And guess what? If McGregor is serious, and if McGregor insists that this fight takes place at 185, it's going to take place at 185 because Mike's not going to tell him no.
So as you guys know, Sean Strickland made an appearance on Theo Von's podcast, which was released yesterday. The podcast was filmed the day after UFC 296, where Sean got into a brawl with Dricus Du Plessis in the crowd. Sean got emotional on the podcast when him and Theo discussed the trauma from his childhood, which Dricus used against him at the UFC 2024 seasonal press conference.
Bro, you think your dad beat the shit out of you? Your dad doesn't have shit on me. I'm gonna show you what it's like to beat you. I mean, every childhood memory you have is gonna come back when I'm in there with you.
Sean told Theo there's some things that are off limits. You don't really talk about a man's wife, you don't talk about a man's kids, and you don't talk about a kid being abused. These things are all off limits. Once he crossed that, I tried to fucking ignore it. I was boiling. Whenever Dricus goes on there and he jokes about that shit, dude, you have no idea. I'll fucking kill you. You have no idea. I think the issue is, too, when you're a kid and you're made to be a victim your whole life, as an adult, you're like, never again. I'll fucking kill you. So I went through Dricus' likes today on his X account. Dricus has definitely seen the podcast with Sean and Theo and does not appear to feel bad for Sean whatsoever. So Dricus liked 3 different posts. Here's the first one. It says, Du Plessis absolutely mogged Strickland. Here's the second one. It says, this man really broke Sean Strickland. And here's the final one that Dricus liked. It's a repost of Sean's quote on Theo's podcast. It says, hypocritical. Talked about O'Malley's wife, talked about Gary's wife, crossed a bunch of lines with other talk, heck even called DDP a Gotta go for DDP at this point. What do you guys think? Do you guys think Dricus crossed the line? Or do you think all the trash talk regarding Sean is fair game? Let me know your opinion in the comments. Also, if you missed our video yesterday, Ian Gary also reacted to Sean on Theo Von's podcast. Go check that video out if you haven't seen it. And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. The first one from Nathan. It's in reference to Ian Gary's list for 2024. It says, Ian's writing a list of fighters that get a turn with his wife. The second one says, guys, leave Ian alone. He's trying to make a living so he can take care of his wife's kid, and his wife's boyfriend. And the final one's in reference to the audio of Sean Strickland and Theo Von. It says, Theo handled that perfectly. Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.